think this is just me arse covering.
Yeah, no, it's box designed for an iPad.
Well, yeah. They saw in the 70s that we'd one day all have iPads. Yeah. So what we'll do, we'll just put that away for now, just so that we're not losing that. And I'll just kind of take you through without sort of referring, just for the sake of, because it is now sort of 1/2 past.
Yeah,
so
that's right. No problem.
Getting going. Well, that'll just about do.
Yep.
Right then, so start again. Oops, daisy dried. Thank you very much. Team effort. So again, start the engine, we need to make sure that the fuel's on, the mixture's fully rich. We've already primed the engine, it's already started once, so
you only generally do that the first time.
Generally, yeah. Okay. Depends how cold it is, really.
Yeah, okay.
Clip her up. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
I'll just turn the...
Yep, all good.
Right. Are you all good? Can you hear properly?
Yep, perfect.
So you've got on your left like a knob. If you turn it so it's all the way up, then we'll...
that's fine, all the way up.
Change the volume based on that.
We're good.
Right then, let's get the radio on. Thought radio, good morning Golf, Bravo Mike Charlie Victor, request radio check.
Craft calling readability 5 from the office.
Thanks, 5 also, and taxiing runway 06, Golf, Charlie Victor. Right then, so, we'll just get the heat on to try and defrost this bit, but as I said before, we need to get the cabin air on at the same time. So, nice fresh air source, and we're going to blast that towards me as well.
Can I do this one as well? Or?
Maybe a little bit, yeah, if you, so it just kind of rotates. I know it's a bit chilly, but it's best to have a little bit of airflow. Right, clear behind us. Don't want to blast these guys too much. So, the idea here is to get some momentum. Don't stop. So what we're doing is taking off that way, we do all our power checks in this area here, just making sure that we're, because this is still a runway that we're on now. So making sure that we get nobody's way. And there's so little wind, I'm not going to... Normally we'd point into wind for our checks.
It's not worth doing.
But really not worth doing today. So it's a nominal 1200 RPM. Holding on the brakes, mixture's fully rich, looking behind us. Going to add power to 1700 RPM. Do you remember what the first things we do after that? Any ideas?
Sorry.
Moisture, ice.
Oh, right. Carb heat. Yep.
That's the one, so we check that. So that should give us a drop, which it does.
Yeah.
This is actually in this lesson in the air, the carb heat anyway. But the effect's the same on the ground. So give that a bit of a blast. The good thing about being parked here is as well that we can see what's kind of coming into land that way.
Okay, that's it.
I'm being fairly liberal with the carpet just because it is a wet sort of day. And again, the humidity is more important than the temperature.
Right, okay, alright,
So that's about enough. Back to 1700 RPM. Now we'll check the magneto. So 2 clicks left to right. The drop's about 100 RPM. That's fine. 2 clicks right back to both. That's back to 1700. 1 click to left. The drop's about the same. 1 click right to both. The RPM is restored. Checking while we're here that the amateur charge is still good. The suction is in the green, and the pressure is fine. Temperature's yet to come up, but the pressure's good. Slowly retard the throttle to idle. Engine keeps running. Bit of car beat, make sure that the ignition is sustained. It is. That goes in, back to our 1200 RPM.
Golf Charlie Victor's taxing holding point runway 06.
Right then, so we're going to, if we can, move from this position here. We're going to taxi. And again, sort of minimum power that you need, and then when it starts moving, we just back it off a little bit.
Yeah. Because the oil temperature doesn't matter whether it's in that high before you take off then.
Yeah, it's not particularly accurate gauge, but ideally you want to see it move off the bottom stop.
Okay.
A bit like a car. Really.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, the pressure's more important.
Yeah, okay.
Right. What load of thrust on? Well, power, not thrust. I'm not in a jet. Not today. And then sort of hug this sort of side of the runway up to the top. This is all uphill here, so.
Yeah, okay.
And this is about where you take off if you take off taking off on 2.4, so you can see how it's uphill. There's not a lot of wind. You don't really want to be doing that when it's boggy.
Yeah.
If you can avoid it. So yeah, 06 is the preferred takeoff runway in that instance. And again, keeping the nose or the weight off the nose with the controls. And the engine power that we've got going uphill gives more airflow over the tail to make this more effective. Bit of a hump coming up here.
Yeah, that's quite.
We'll just steer clear of that. The key, when we actually start taxiing again to take off, is to not stop when we go around the corner.
Right, okay, yeah, just keep going.
Keep going. So we'll hold just here for now and do our checks, which again I'll just run you through.
Yep.
So again, nominal RPM about 1200 RPM. So flaps, we're going to see. Yes, that again, sorry about that. So the flaps, and if we check, so they're down on both sides. If you look at yours, and I put the aileron that way, you can see it's about aligned. Same with this one, it's about aligned, so we know it's 10. So we know this isn't lying to us, because that could say 10, and it could have gone to 30.
Yeah, okay.
So making sure that the flaps are where they need to be. The trim is in the takeoff position.
Yep.
Fuel, fuel selector is on.
Yep.
Mixture's fully rich. Primer is locked, and we know we've just put fuel in, we've got plenty of fuel. Yep. Ignition is on both. I'm going to give it a bit of carb heat. It's actually
it's come off the bottom, and it's alright.
It's a bit of a sticky needle. So oil temperature and pressure is acceptable for takeoff. The ammeter showing that we are not using the battery power. Again, suction's in the green. We'll just leave that for a few seconds. We shall just realign this again. So that's showing about 235, which actually is about there, isn't it?
Right.
So I've got parallax over here. I can't really see it all that well.
Do you turn the carb heat off when you take off to get more power out of the Okay, right.
What you don't want to do is take off with this on hot.
Right, yeah.
So that'll be about enough of that. Flight controls. So make sure we've got full and free, that they all move as they should. And again, you look behind us, so we'll do that as well. So just give the rudder a bit of a go as well. So I'm fastened in.
Yep.
You're fastened in. You're sort of nice and tight.
Yep.
I'll make sure that you are nice and tight. Doors are shut.
Yep.
And the avionics has still got the radio on. We've got the transponder. Turn that on now. Put some lights on. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Put all the lights on. Make ourselves nice and visible to everybody else. What we're going to do is a bit of a 360 loop, just to make sure there's nothing coming the other way.
Okay. Yep.
And Golf Charlie Victor is lining up and taking off runway 06, making a left turn after takeoff onto the dead side to remain below 500 feet to leave the ATZ.
Right, so it's all clear this way, so nothing's going to land on top of us.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a right orbit, because there might be aeroplanes landing on the other runway, you see.
Yep, okay.
So I'm just going to do an orbit, make sure there's nothing coming that way. Yep. That all looks good to me. There's nobody coming that way. So continue round. Somebody will say, who's been doing donuts in the grass? And again, we don't want to stop.
Yep, and just keep it moving.
Paramount importance.
Even when you line up to take off, don't stop as well.
Absolutely,
Just keep it,
yeah. Use all the runway you can, and
Yeah,
you can, don't stop.
Yeah.
Especially when it's boggy like this. Are you ready?
Yep, all
Happy?
good.
Right, so there's about good. So heels on the floor.
Yep.
Clear the brakes.
Fine.
Let's go flying.
Lovely.
So first thing we're checking is that the power is good. So the power is good for takeoff. Temperature and pressures are in the green, and the airspeed should be building, which it will do very shortly. We're keeping the weight off the nose wheel, just looking ahead. Got 40 knots there. It's going to go any moment. Just be patient with it. There we go, 50 knots. Maintain that altitude. 55, 60s, approaching, and we're away. Climbing about 60 knots with the flaps at 10 degrees. My left hand remains on the throttle so it doesn't slip backwards.
Yep.
And I need to remain below 750 feet because we're going to be turning left onto what we call the dead side of the circuit.
Yeah, okay.
So mind all the houses first. Don't want to sort of turn over any of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to raise the flaps. I apologise for that. Right then, look around. Going to turn left. Climbing turn, so not a lot of angle of bank.
Yep.
The altimeter's a bit sort of
Yeah,
wobbly.
yes.
So about 65, 70 knots. Not flying over any houses or farms or anything.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to stay at 750 feet on the altimeter, which is 500 feet AGL,
Yeah.
above the ground.
Yeah.
Because there might be other aeroplanes descending on top of us.
Yeah, okay. There's a circuit 800, is it?
Above the ground, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, of course, yeah, right.
So what I'm doing here, so this is a bit non-conventional.
Yeah.
You see the airfield there?
Yep.
So if someone's landing on 2-4, they'll be descending above us here to 800 feet above the ground.
Okay, yep.
So we have to stay
Yeah.
500 feet above the ground, so they don't descend on top of us. So I want to do, because we're low, so come left so we don't fly over this, over Thorpe's Albion.
Yeah.
Again, this is a bit non-conventional, but you have to do it sometimes.
Yeah, I'll do it.
And then once we're sort of west of the airfield, outside the sort of traffic area, we can then start climbing.
Okay.
So I'm going to come back this side, I'm going to come back to the north of these wind farms.
Yep.
Don't fly into the wind farms. So in a few seconds time, we'll be clear of the immediate traffic area.
Yep.
Yeah, that should be good enough. Now we're going to climb up. So looking all around, looking above, going to add full power. Going to select the climb attitude. Bit of right rudder to keep the ball roughly in the middle. And eventually that speed will then reduce.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to just be patient with it. Trim it as the speed reduces. Come slightly left to get nowhere past the wind farms.
What sort of speed are you looking for climb about 70?
So yeah, so 65, 70.
Okay. Yep.
But all I'm doing is I'm waiting for, rather than pitch too high,
Yep.
just waiting for it to bleed off.
Yeah.
Of course, now being west of the airfield, we're clear of the Doncaster airspace as well.
Okay, yeah. Is there no airspace above us now then?
Not now, no.
Right, okay.
It's all.
Right.
Netherthorpe represents the very western tip
Okay.
of the airspace.
Yeah.
So as soon as you take off in this direction, well, if you took off at 2-4, or if you're west of the airfield, you know that the airspace is no longer applicable to you. Comfy? All happy?
Yeah, very good.
So we'll just see what the sort of cloud base is doing for the lesson. Again, because you've not done the climbing lesson yet, I'll just do the climbing and talk you through what I'm doing.
Fine,
what you'll find is once you've done every sort of bit, you'll then be allowed to do what you've already done.
Yeah, sort of stitch it together.
Yeah. As we're climbing, obviously, making sure that the oil pressure and temperature, see how that's now come up?
Yeah, much better.
Because we're working the engine quite hard here.
Yeah.
Want to keep an eye on that.
You don't have to use the carb heat when the engine's
there's
fully...
aircraft there. Can you see that aircraft just
Oh,
there?
yeah, yeah. Ooh.
Yep, so we keep a good lookout at all times.
Yep. Very good.
I'll just level off while he's...
Pretty close, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, we saw him in good time.
Yeah, okay.
But it just shows you've got to be vigilant.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where the best horizon is going to be. It's probably if we face east, that's probably where the horizon would be best. We're going to be limited by the cloud again. Last time. I think if we go that way, we'll... Because obviously a good horizon is necessary for, relating all your control movements.
Yep.
So we're going to do a bit of a left turn, so clear right, ahead and left, look to the front, control the attitude with the controls, and just maintain the turn. Again, looking out all the time. So what I need to do is just come a little bit south and then turn east, and then if you look that way, the horizon's really good.
Yeah, okay.
And we're not pointing to the sun.
Yeah, that's it.
And we're away from everybody else.
Yeah.
So what we'll do first is just have a look at adverse yaws, we said before.
Yeah, fine, yeah.
Nuzzo radio, Golf Bravo Papa X Alpha, radio check if anyone's on frequency.
Reading 5 from Golf Charlie Victor.
Appreciate that, 5 also.
The nice thing is here as well, is that cloud behind us, if you look that way, it seems to disappear, so we can actually go a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So clear right, clear ahead, clear left.
X Alpha is taxiing to power check point for 06.
So initially head for sort of the Mansfield area, it's quite good. Good area, so all I did was climb a little bit more, so again, looking around us, looking left, looking right, nobody up there.
Yep.
Follow me through the controls, so just your left hand. Only fly with one hand, so just pitch the nose up to about there for our climb, and lo and behold, the speed will eventually come back to our climb speed. It's not as important to hold this once you're sort of at 2,000 feet.
Yep.
But when you're near the ground taking off, you really do have to hold that. But to illustrate the point, I'm going to let go of that now. You should rest your idle hand on your knee, and that's kind of how we fly.
Yep.
As that speed comes back, it's going to trim off the control pressure, which you can't feel me doing that, but I am.
Yep, that's it.
What a lovely day.
It's fantastic, yeah.
It's going to go another bit of a left turn, so looking around again.
Yep, all good.
Round that way. Again, when we turn when we're climbing, we have a shallow angular bank.
Yep.
We'll go to about there. So I'll level up at 2,500 feet. It's nice and smooth, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
perfect. Amazing.
Perfect for you.
Yeah, yep.
I was really keen not to waste the day.
I appreciate it.
I know that you needed a good sort of smooth day.
It's amazing.
So levelling up, all I'm doing is I'm putting the nose down to the cruise attitude, letting the airspeed build.
Another solve, Golf X Alpha. Could you tell us what the wind is, please? It seems to change direction.
Reduce the power to about 2,300 RPM. I now feel that I'm pushing forward on the control stick, so I'm going to just trim off that pressure. Test it. Yeah, it's about right, isn't it?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Well, so adverse yaw. So if you look to the front, I'm going to roll the airplane left and right.
Another solve office, Golf X Alpha.
And I want you to see which way the nose yaws as I roll the airplane. So first of all, I'm going to roll left.
The wind seems to have changed direction between favouring it 2-4. Could you let us know what it is, please?
Roll right. So can you see, if I roll left, for example,
well, it is runway of your choice,
if I roll to the right,
well, what's the wind speed, I'm also?
Now that is not a desirable characteristic of the aeroplane. So what we want to do to be tidy
24250 at 5 knots.
Use same side
pressure. 5 knots, okay, just so the wind looks a bit wrong. Well, thanks very much,
Mark. We'll probably
to
if I roll to the left first, look at the nose.
Yep.
I'm going to add a little bit of left rudder as I do that, and then when I roll right, bit of right
Yep.
rudder. So let's see if I can demonstrate this. So bit of left rudder.
Oh yeah.
Bit of right rudder. Bit of left rudder. Bit of right rudder. So can you see that the nose isn't swaying so much? And that's a tidier way to fly the aeroplane. So when I give you control, just do that a few times. Just left and right, and just give it a little bit of rudder pressure on the same side.
Yep.
Happy with that?
Yep.
You have control.
I have control.
Yep. It doesn't take a lot.
Yeah, that one wasn't so good.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can tell it's so much nicer than.
Yeah. I control.
Yeah, you have control.
So anytime you roll the airplane now, you have to add rudder every time. So again, if you can trim and you can do that well, then you're on the way, definitely.
Yeah, that was good.
I need a bit of carb heat, which actually brings us on to the next item quite nicely.
Very good. So is it every sort of like 10-20 minutes or so that you put a bit
in the book it says that. I do it more than that.
Okay, right.
Because to me, the extra fuel you burn is less valuable than the engine not stopping.
Yeah.
Call me a cynic.
Yeah, no, that's quite happy to go along with that.
Yeah. What we'll do, while we're talking about trimming, we'll just have another quick go at trimming if you don't mind, just so that you...
Golf, Takeoff, crossing.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to
active
mistrim the
to
aeroplane.
the hole for 24.
In fact, no, I'll give it to you in trim, and then I'll mistrim it, and then you can trim it out. So when I give you control, just maintain this altitude.
Yep.
Okay, so you have control.
I have control.
So maintain the altitude.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And when you're ready, you can trim off the pressure. And when you think you've got it, just let me know.
So about there.
Okay, so let go. Yeah, nice.
Okay.
What I'd say is you've trimmed the altitude slightly high, but at least you've trimmed that altitude.
Right, yeah.
So you've got the idea. We'll just do it again,
Yep.
just the other way this time. So let's have a look around. So you have control, just maintain the altitude.
Yep.
And just lower it slightly to about there, that's it.
Okay.
And when you're ready, just trim it all off. Just let me know when you think you've done it.
Yeah, so about there.
Okay, and I have control.
You have control.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All I'd say, obviously you've got the hang of it. All I'd say is maybe don't spend quite so long each time. Just do it coarsely. Test that, and then if it moves, then just do
little bits of okay.
So you've got the idea, and as the thing you've got last time, the most important thing is don't change the altitude with the trim. So you hold the altitude and then do it. But you did it very nicely.
Okay. Yeah.
Very good. So
Golf X-ray Alpha lining up 24.
the carb heat.
Yep.
This knob here, it's either fully cold or fully hot.
Yep.
There's no in between.
Okay.
So really it should be a switch, either off or on.
Okay.
So first of all, just put that in the back of your mind. So what we're going to do is, if you look at the power, so first of all I need to set the power to about 2300 RPM.
Golf X-ray Alpha departing 24.
Full cold, power goes back up.
Okay.
So what we do is, you said, the book says 10 to 15 minutes, I do it maybe every 5, depending on the day. If it's a very sort of moist day, I'll be doing this. If I'm thinking about a rain shower, I'll leave this on.
Right, okay. Yeah.
What you can do to restore the power that you've lost is actually to increase the throttle back to that setting. What's the danger of doing that, do you think? That you might forget that you've left it on.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Right.
So what I would advocate is, whenever you've got the carb heat on hot, hold the actual knob.
Right, okay. So you've remembered to put it back in.
So you know to put it back in.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd advocate you doing.
Yeah, right.
So I made that a bit artificial by increasing the power in between, but normally it would be a case of you watch the power goes down, hold this for 10 seconds, and then
put it
back
in.
to cold.
Yeah.
So when I give you control, I'd like you
Golf
to
Excel,
maintain the data
straight
attitude,
ahead and change your
just
frequency to
move the
Delta.
control or the carb heat on and off of it.
Okay. Yep.
Just so you get familiar with looking outside whilst doing what you're doing. Just turns the sun's in our eyes.
Yeah.
Right then, so you have control.
I have control.
So as you've done, sort of looking at the window primarily, and every so often glancing in. Nothing to it, is there?
Okay, no, that's fine, yeah. You can tell how it changes slightly though, can't you?
Absolutely right, yeah. So as the power comes off, you might start to sink slightly, in which case you'd have to just select a high nose attitude, or increase the power.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But the main thing there is that you make sure that you remember that you've got it on.
Yeah, and turn it off again after.
Absolutely right, And don't do it halfway, only ever full on or fully off. I have control.
You have control.
So the mixture control, this big round knob here, essentially it's a fuel metering knob. So the way this works is there's a little disc on the front, so then just maintain this altitude, pull it out about an inch, so there's like an inch of chrome sort of visible. Then if I understand this control correctly, they're all different, you see.
Yeah, okay.
If I twist this,
you can do a much finer adjustment with it.
you can see how it's kind of going in. So it's sort of a fine adjustment. So what we do, I'll put that back to Rich, because we fly around mostly Rich, and when you're training, we leave it Rich because there's lots of power changes. You don't want to sort of have this leaned off too much and then add the power, for example. So, because that can affect the temperature of the engine and that sort of thing. So if you look at the RPM, so 2300 RPM, are you all good?
Yeah, fine, sorry.
2300 RPM, if I just move that out, that should start increasing at some point. Or getting rough, one of the two.
Right, okay.
It's got a little bit of rough, let's reduce it,
okay.
add that in. So what that's told me is that I'm putting a little less fuel than I should be.
Yeah, okay.
So put it back in. And it's not exact science really. I mean, I kind of do it by the seat of my pants. I sort of feel, I sort of go, right, so that's rich. I want to reduce my fuel consumption. I'll do this until it feels like it's running a little bit rougher while looking outside, maintain the altitude, maintain the lookout. I'd say that's about as much I want to do. Then I'll put it in a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah.
And then that's saving a bit of fuel each time.
Okay.
So I give you control. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, do you adjust that more as you're flying higher? Or is
Absolutely right. So as we fly higher, the air density reduces. And we're sort of compensating to keep the mixture of the fuel and the air the same.
Right.
So that's what that's doing. Absolutely right. But as I say, when we're training, we tend to not mess with it. So when I give you control, just maintain the data attitude and pull this out until you feel it getting a bit rough, then put it in slightly. Okay, so you have control.
I have control.
And you can sort of feel when it starts. Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
So then in a bit.
So then in slightly.
And I'd say that's a well-leaned engine.
Yeah. Okay.
I have control.
You have control.
For the sake of the exercise, I'm going to put that back to Rich.
Yeah,
so you won't be touching that a lot when you're flying.
Yeah, but it's just there.
We tend to use it as an on-off, don't we?
Okay.
Really? This is kind of fuel on, fuel off. But if you're flying a long trip somewhere, that could be the difference between getting there or not with the fuel consumption. Okay, happy with the mixture control?
Yeah, very.
So the effect of the throttle then, I mean, you know what the throttle does, but for completeness sake, look to the front. I'm going to maintain this attitude while operating the throttle. So mixture's fully rich, first of all. I'm going to add full power. It gets noisier. The RPM increases. If I hold the attitude, the airspeed increases. I'm going to bring that back to 2000 RPM.
Never radio, Golf Alpha Victor Uniform Golf, request radio check on 123.280.
Gets lower, the speed will reduce a little bit. I'm going to reduce further, but what I need to do
Cross 40, ready to belly 5 to left 6.
below the green line on the intercom.
540, thank you,
Hot.
Golf, Uniform Golf.
We're bringing back to idle power. So again, less noisy, RPM goes down,
Yep.
speed reduces more quickly. Then to add power, first thing, carpet hot, add cruise power.
A cruise power around 2,300.
2,300 RPM, yeah. That's about right. And then the speed will increase back to what our speed was previously. I just noticed that, yeah, cheers. That's not
as long
in
as that's
agreement, so it's an
Assume
intermittent,
there's some,
it's just an intermittent fault.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
So what controls?
Just when it drops below 2,000, you use the carb heat.
Yes.
Would you leave that on for the whole time that it's below 2,000?
Yes,
Right, okay.
absolutely right, yeah. So I should have explained that before.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
on the ground, we obviously we operate a lot of the time below 2,000 RPM, but we
Golf,
leave it
Uniform Golf,
on.
crossing 24.
We don't have to ingest dust and whatnot into the engine. It's unfiltered. In the air, that's not an issue,
Okay.
and it's more important to have the engine running. So yeah, absolutely right. So when I give you control, just go to full power. Bring it back to 2,000. Carpet hot, back to idle, and then carpet cold, back to cruise.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
You have control.
I have control.
Very good.
You put
So
carb heat first or
no,
reduce?
that one first,
Right,
just
reduce
2,000.
that.
That's it.
Right. Okay. And then the carb heat and then reduce again.
Yeah.
It drops.
You're teaching yourself a few things.
Yeah.
And then carpet hot. And the power back on. I have control.
You have control.
All very good, obviously.
That's amazing. That the difference when you take the power.
Well, that's one of the next points. So really, I was getting you to kind of teach yourself the next bit.
That's right.
I'm sure the good people of Shirebrook love me
I was
flying over
going
their
to say
houses.
it's Shirebrook, with the big warehouse.
Yeah. Well, you've already seen what the throttle does. You actually corrected for the changes in the attitude that it produces. So the effect of power. So the throttle is one thing that really controls the engine, but power is slightly different from throttle in as much as it's to do with the airflow around the aeroplane. If I add the power and do nothing else with the controls, tell me which way the nose goes.
Yeah, the pitch up. And,
What else does it do?
Slightly to the left.
Yep. So I'll just reset cruise power and the datum attitude. There we go. And now if I just reduce the power to idle, nose goes down slightly to the right. So we don't want to fly around all day changing the power and that happening, do we? Because that would be a bit crap. So when we change power, we need to make control inputs to compensate.
So the right rudder when you put full throttle on.
Absolutely right. So I'm going to set 2,300 RPM. So follow me through. I'm going to select 1,500 RPM. So as the power comes off, I'll do a little bit of left rudder, a little bit of back stick.
Golf, Uniform Golf, taxi to hold 24.
I don't care about this, I'm just caring about the attitude right now. So I'm now pulling back on the stick with a little bit of the left rudder. I'm going to increase the power now, so carpet hot. Which rudder am I going to need to press, do you think, if I increase the power?
Right rudder.
So if you follow me through, so full power, it wants to go to the left, so I'm not letting it go left. And the stick has to go a little bit forward too to maintain the attitude. Again, don't care about the height, I just care about the attitude right now. And then we reduce back to 2,300 RPM, so no carpet required. Power off, bit of left rudder, little bit of back stick, and then we're back to the cruise. Relax, and we're sort of nicely in trim. So when I give you control, I'd like to do exactly that. So 2,300 RPM, 1,500 RPM, full power, back to 23. The numbers don't really matter. It's just a case of you're making power changes. What I would say as well is make big power changes kind of by feel, small power changes by looking at the instrument, if that makes sense. So we'll get onto that later. So when you have volume control, just make the power settings changes. You have control.
I have control.
So the first one you're looking for is 1500. Don't forget the car beat. Yep.
Sorry.
That's alright. All very good.
Still forgetting a few things. And then...
Okay, and when you're ready, up to full power, just hold the attitude. Yep. Lovely.
Golf Uniform Golf, immediate departure 24, remaining in the circuit.
Okay, you have control.
Well, excellent. That's all right, you keep it.
Oh, okay.
Just do that again.
Delta Toe, studio check. Delta
So
Toe.
when you're ready, don't forget the car beat again. There you go. It's just getting a bit of coordination.
Do you always take the car beat off before?
Yeah, 5 from Golf Uniform Golf.
In this exercise,
Delta
it's
Toe,
just
thank you.
increasing speed.
Very well, sir.
Lovely.
One straight ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. Lovely. Eye control.
You have control.
Happy with that?
Yeah, just the reducing. So trying to sort that out. By the time you've looked at that, you've dropped out again, haven't you? That's okay. Yeah.
So it's just getting your feet and your hands working together.
That's right.
You get the hang of it.
Yeah.
But that was fine. You're making the correct inputs.
Yeah, that's right.
Climb back to 2,000 feet. That's the airplane down there as well. Just seen.
Oh yeah.
So I think you've learned one thing, so the importance of keeping your eyes peeled.
Yes, most definitely. Assuming you're not too bothered about that.
Well, say again, sorry.
Assuming you're not too bothered about that.
Yeah, I mean, in a Cessna 152, in my aeroplane, I'd be really concerned.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is just listen to how 2300 RPM sounds. Okay? So just get that note in your mind's ear. Yeah. I'm going to maintain control of the controls, but you now have control of the throttle.
Okay.
I want you to set 2300 RPM. Let's have a look. About 2350. How dare you? Right. So.
Sorry.
So now I'm getting an idea of 2200 RPM. Just store that in your mind's ear.
Yeah. So about it.
Got it?
Yep. Good.
Delta Bravo
Set
Delta
2200
Toe.
RPM.
Crossing 24, active 24.
Let's have a look.
Oh dear.
About 100 off. The point I'm making there is that we don't want to fly around making power changes looking at this. There's always other things to do.
Yeah.
So if you can make power changes, we call it setting the power by sound and feel.
Yeah.
So if I want to make, 100 RPM change, then I will look at it, obviously.
Yeah.
If you're making a 300 RPM change, let's say.
You do it more by sound.
Absolutely right, yeah. Right then, it's going to slow us down, so get the car beat on. Set 2000 RPM.
Golf Uniform Golf, downwind, 24.
And as you see, the speed is now within what we call the wide arc on the airspeed indicator. So the wide arc being a flap limiting range. That's going to get us trimmed level at 2000 RPM and accept whatever speed it gives me, which is about 72 knots.
Yep.
So the effect of flaps, watch what happens to the nose if I add flaps to 10 degrees. I'll give 20 degrees. Okay?
Yep.
Then you get the idea of that.
Yep.
So if I now retract the flaps, what do you think is going to happen?
Pitch down.
So let me just trim this first. And then 1, 2, 3. And again, I apologise for the crappy,
Not a problem.
thing. Yeah. So the point there is just that the flaps, when you deploy them, they increase the lift on the wing.
Yeah.
The nose rises, decreases the lift when you track them. The nose goes down.
I was reading about it, you can use it as you're approaching landing. That, well, as long as you control it right, you can then pitch those down to see better below.
Absolutely right. That's one of the best uses for the flaps. So to make flap changes in the same attitude, when we change the flap position, there'll be no effect on the yaw of the aeroplane. So there's no need to add any more or less rudder, unlike power. But we do have to make an adjustment for the pitch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go flaps from up to 10, 20, 30, back up to 0, maintaining this attitude. So when we add the flaps, there's a phrase we use called limitation, operation, indication. So the limitation, we're checking that we're within the wide
Golf uniform golf, final 2-4.
Operation, selecting again the flaps, a bit of forward stick. Just trim that off.
Okay, so you trim at each
stage, just to maintain that. Because I'm changing the attitude, there's a control pressure, I need to get rid of control pressure. So it's 20 degrees, limitation in the white arc, operation, forward stick. I'm holding forward stick, trimming off the pressure. There we go. 30 degrees, limitation, speed in the white arc, operation. Holding the attitude, again, not as much trim this time, a little bit of trim required. And we are indicating the eye is 30 degrees indicated.
Sure, Bravo Delta Tower, check
runway 24.
Reset 2000 RPM.
When the runway is clear, Delta Tower will depart and depart to the south. Delta Tower.
So, flaps 20 degrees. Operation. I need to raise the nose, or at least
Golf
back
uniform
stick.
golf, vacated 2-4.
Trim that
Taxi
off.
to the hold to
10
2-4.
degrees.
Delta Tower lining up,
You can
meet
feel
the
like
pressure.
sinking, can't you? And then back up to 10. Back up to 0. There we go, back to clean, back to our original speed. So when I give you control, just maintain the datum attitude, or in fact this attitude, and add the flaps. And I want you to tell me afterwards which flap setting change, so from which to which has the greatest effect on the pitch of the aeroplane, okay? You have control.
I have control. Does the throttle stay as it is?
So that power's fine, that power's absolutely fine.
So in the white arc,
Yep.
all good.
Perfect.
20 in the arc. Bit more of an effect with that one.
You've got the right answer.
Yeah. Okay, and still there, we're good. Yeah, definitely 10 to 20.
Yeah. Okay, so just leaving that where it is for now. So eye control, just while you have a think about this. So the limitation when we add flap is obviously being the white arc. When we retract flap, what do you think another limitation might be we need to think about?
Stall speed.
Absolutely right. So we wouldn't want to raise the flaps to, let's say, 0 if the speed is below the flaps up stall speed. Absolutely right. So you have control, you can do the flap retraction.
Okay, so in, all good there. Do it all in one? Or
No, that's fine.
No,
Up to 20 degrees, yep. Hold the attitude and trim. So 10 to 20 both ways.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot.
That's the greatest trim change.
Trimming the wrong way.
You got it.
Immediate departure 2-4, remaining in circuit.
That's okay, yeah?
Yeah, you've done
You?
a nice job there. Happy with that?
Zero Bravo Delta Hotel going to Wellington 119.15. Delta Hotel.
Is there a stall speed with the flaps at the end of the white arc? Is that
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
So so with flaps, flaps in their full position, it would be that top of the white arc and the top of the green at 40 is flaps up.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a really important check to make, that you're not going to raise the flaps into a stall. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You'll find another lesson that stall speed. We say stall speed. There is no such thing as a stall speed. The wing stalls at an angle of attack, regardless of the speed.
Right. Yeah.
But we can't see the angle of attack.
Yeah. No,
we can see the speed. So we sort of we call it that.
Yeah.
Even though it's not really.
Yeah.
Well, that's the actual effects controls lesson 2. Have you got any questions on that?
No, I think it's all good. Thank you.
What I'll do is I'll show you now an arrival onto the airfield, because last time we had to truncate it.
Yeah.
So I'll talk you through that. So the first thing, if you have a quick look at this, you can see that this blue area here is the airspace.
Yep. Good.
So that's 2,000 feet.
Yeah.
I'm now below 2,000 feet.
Yep.
So I'm not going to infringe on the airspace. That's coming to that, thought, very important thing to check.
Yeah.
Airport Radio Golf Bravo Mike Charlie Victor, 4 miles to south, we'll join at head runway 24.
So the airfield, can you see this chimney here?
Yes, I've got it actually, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see the airfield.
Yeah.
You're a pro.
Well.
So the points that I use are the chimney, you've got Whitwell Wood, which is the big wood thing.
Yep.
And I know that you've got if I put the nose down a little bit, can you see the white warehouses? Yeah, that's the end of the downwind leg for 2-4.
Yep.
They've also got the wind farms and that's obviously workshop there.
Yep. Good.
So you sort of work your way in using what you know from the area. Yeah. So what I've done is I've told them that we're 4 miles south, I'm going to join overhead runway 24. Have you seen anything yet about the overhead join?
No, I've seen a few videos I've watched it, but I haven't really looked into how exactly it works yet.
So you're back up to 1,800 feet. Ideally, in an ideal world, you'd be 2,000 feet above the airfield when you go overhead. However, that puts us right on the border of the airspace. So what we're going to do, you see an airplane down there, that airplane's downwind for 2-4, so he'll be beneath us, don't worry about it.
Golf Uniform Golf, downwind, 2-4.
There you go. So, what we're going to do, you need to know 3 things to join the airfield for an overhead join. Which runway's in use, what's the circuit direction, and what's the circuit height.
Yep.
So we know that the circuit is left-hand on runway 24, so we're landing in the opposite direction to what we took off.
Yeah.
You know then that you need to always position when you join the airfield so that you're doing left turns around the airfield.
Yeah, okay.
So that's your first check you're going, because you don't want to go the wrong way around.
Yeah, of course.
So the first thing is, runway 24, I need to keep the runway on my left essentially at all times, always doing left-hand turns. The landing runway being 24, I'm going to cross the 24 threshold at this height, and that's the start of the overhead join.
Right.
And what this join does is, it puts you in a starting position so that everyone kind of knows where you are.
Yeah.
So everyone's not joining from all different directions, obviously. And if you look straight ahead for now, just look, you can see we're being blown to the right slightly, can't you? Yeah. So that gives me an idea of what the wind is up here. So the winds are westerly winds.
Okay,
But we know on the ground it's minimal really. So it's windier higher up than it is lower down. So from my side, I can't really see it all. I've got to kind of manoeuvre a bit to see the airfield because this all blocks it. So I think I'm going roughly the right way.
Yep, that's pretty good to me.
What I want to do is I'm going to cross the landing threshold and then start descending.
Yep, good. So the circuit's on the left, is it? So
so we keep the airfield on our left-hand side. Absolutely right. So left-hand circuit, we are now on the live side, the circuit side. Cross to the dead side.
Crossed it,
Again, keeping good lookout because people might be doing the same thing as us. I'd say we're about there now. So, carpet hot. Going to select about 1500 RPM and just start a gentle descent.
Golf, Golf, final 2-4.
Nose down a little bit and maintain about 80 odd knots.
Good.
And And all I'm doing now is looking and making sure that I'm going to do a little bit of a horseshoe kind of approach. And what I want to do is cross the other threshold of the runway at circuit height.
Okay.
So Netherthorpe is 250 feet above the ground, and the circuit's 800 feet.
Yep. So
1,050 feet. I'm looking, how's it going? I've got about 500 feet to lose. Yeah, that's looking alright. Again, looking out, making sure that nobody is coming our way.
Oh, that was us landing.
Yeah, absolutely right, yeah. So round we go. And what this is going to do is take us onto the downwind legs. It's a bit of like a shortcut to the downwind leg, if that makes sense.
Okay, yep.
How are we doing for the height? I'd say that's just about right.
Yep.
So I'm going to anticipate that we need to level off soon, so about 50 feet to go, car beat hot. I'm going to bring the power back up to sort of cruise power. Bit of right rudder needed, as you know now.
Yep.
Bit of forward trim. And I'm sort of now aiming perpendicular to the runway.
Yep.
Golf, beautiful golf.
So the threat here, traffic-wise, might be somebody who's taken off. It's now turning left into the circuit. So I'm prioritising my lookout sort of this way.
Yep. So how do you know how far to go this before we
landmarks?
Right, okay.
So I know I need to kind of go around the outside of that
right,
white
okay.
building.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, you'd base it all on sort of standard circuit width.
Yeah.
But in the UK, it's very noise sensitive. I'm going to turn left now, so we sort of do it based on not flying over certain things.
Yeah, okay.
So this is going to be like a shorter downwind leg than it would be in the circuit, because obviously we've cut a little bit off.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to roll out, heading there, which should be about 060 degrees.
Yep.
Look left, so we now beam the runway. I'm going to give my downwind call.
Golf Charlie Victor, downwind to land runway 24.
It's now the before landing checks, so for me, this is to make sure that the fuel is on. Mixture's fully rich, and we know we've got enough fuel to go around if we need to.
Yep.
Engine, going to give it a carpet. T's and P's in the green. I'm going to check the brake pressure so that I know that I can stop on the runway.
Yep.
Your passenger and 9 passenger doors both shut, and the ignition's on both. And they're my landing checks, but they do change for different people.
Yeah.
So I'm now going to turn sort of inside, this is called Shire Oaks here.
Okay, yeah.
So there's little blue little lakes down there, so I want to cross those or just beyond. So good lookout, making a left turn. Today it's not very windy, but there are some days where you'll have a tailwind on this part of the circuit, which will shorten the time that you have to get organised. So you need to start doing things quickly, but luckily today the wind's not too bad at all. So I'm now going to set, again, 1500 RPM. Wait for the speed to come into the white arc, which it has done. Trim up a little bit of pressure. I'm going to select 20. I'm going to aim for 65 knots with 20 degrees of flaps. And all I'm doing now is modulating the power and my rate of descent to control the speed and arrive at a position that I'm not going to be too high or too low when I turn onto the runway or onto my
Golf from Golf, immediate departure to 4, remaining in the circuit.
So he's going to be.
You're going to go before us.
Yeah. He's obviously seen me, and so I better say immediate. So all I'm doing is I'm looking at the speed, looking at the runway, seeing am I too high, am I too low, making power changes accordingly. Nothing coming this way onto final, so I'm going to make a left turn onto final approach. Bit of power in the turn. All I'm doing now is just lining it with the runway. So I'll make sure that he doesn't stop. He's airborne. Well, I'm going to add 30 degrees of flaps. I'm going to aim for about 55 knots.
Okay.
Golf Charlie Victor, final to land runway 24.
All I care about now is the speed, the perspective of the runway and the aiming point. And that's all, there's 3 things on when you land an aeroplane: speed, perspective, aiming point. You'll get all this.
That's right. What sort of speed are you aiming
55
for?
knots.
Okay.
Is that about right? Yeah, can't quite see all that well.
Pretty much.
Carpet away, because we go around.
Yeah.
Speed, aiming point, perspective. Heels on the floor if you would. So, not there, power off, don't let it sink too much. All I'm doing now is modulating the descent to hopefully achieve a smooth landing.
Very nice.
And again, because it's like boggy, I don't
Yeah.
brake. I don't want to brake too hard.
That's it.
You might.
But it's skid.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'll kind of lock the brakes and it'll like create a big muddy rut.
Is it the stall warning that went off just before?
It is, yeah. So the stall warning again is an angle of attack warning.
Yeah.
And all that tells you is that you're approaching the stall, not that you're actually stalling.
Right, I see, yeah.
So there'd be no use, would there, if it just told you you are stalling?
No, be aware of that.
So it should sort of come on, if we tilt, in terms of speed, about 5 knots prior to that stall itself.
Yeah.
So we've landed.
Yep.
Golf Charlie Victor's clear of the runway 24.
We need to clean up the aeroplane, so the flaps are down, so we're going to put the flaps up.
Yep.
So flaps, trim back to the takeoff position for the next person. Transponder can go from alt to standby.
Yep.
The pitot heat is already off. We can turn off all the lights apart from the beacon now.
Yep.
Leave that on. And the airplane's now ready to be sort of taxied in. People do that while they're taxiing. I think when you first start, it's best to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so again,
Golf uniform Golf, downwind 24.
different instructors will do different things, but mine is after landing, flaps, trim, transponder, pitot heat lights.
Okay.
And you'll come across all these little abbreviations.
Yeah, just like.
What I'm going to do is put some more fuel in this for the next lesson, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You can have a go at fueling if you like.
Oh, yeah. Give that a try. Downwind 24, wasn't it?
Yes, we should see him in a minute down there somewhere.
Oh yeah. There it is.
So again, this is a runway here, so we
Yeah,
look both ways to make sure that we're not going to. There's nobody who's an idiot and going off the wrong runway that's going to get in our way. Just think now. I hope this guy. There's a guy over there.
Yeah,
I wonder if he's going to want to get out. So before I approach other airplanes, I'm going to do a brake check and make sure I can stop if I need to.
Yeah.
He should be able to get out if I go into the fuel.
Yeah.
He's got a low wing, we've got a high wing.
Oh, okay, so you can pass
should be able to get out there, He's trying to... Yeah, he doesn't look. He's not even looking up anyway.
No, I think you'd probably be...
Obviously looking at a wingtip on this aeroplane here.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to go.
What's the worst that could happen?
Golf uniform Golf, final 24.
Well, so the radio can now go off, as can the transponder. Just checking that the ignition system is not live when I try and shut the engine off. There we go. And off we go. Don't do that. If I increase the throttle, it should stop.
Oh, I see, yeah, okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right. And then keys off. Very importantly, master switch off.
Yep.
Lovely.